My name is Kyle Smith, and I'm joined this week by the one and the only Adam Carlson. What's up, man?
We're half the men we used to be.
Oh, wow. Good reference.
Hey, I wish that we had everybody here today, but it turns out that we've got a couple guys that are out and under the weather for a little bit, and hopefully they'll be able to return shortly. Maybe next week. You never know.
Much like the Vikings, the so-called injuries have plagued us, but we will move along, and we will do just fine.
That's true. We're going to do the best we can. I am having an issue where it's not showing us live on YouTube. I'm going to refresh and make sure that's not me being an idiot.
I'll check with you as well. It says live now when I went to YouTube, so hopefully it'll stay the same.
Mine says an error occurred.
All right, I'll try it. Let's take a look. I'll pause. Actually, I won't pause. I'll mute it. Yeah, it seems like we're going, so...
Oh, great. So it's just my computer being a stupid face.
Jake Z says, you are live. Thanks, Jake Z. Thanks, Yang Yaj. Thanks for joining us in the chat. I really appreciate that. This is episode number 324 called Cool Your Jets. I'm super excited to talk about this because I'm going to be kind of a douche today and spiteful, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum because we went to the New York Jets yesterday and we put a hurting on them. And I was kind of worried about this game. I'm not going to lie. Going in, the Jets were, I won't say red hot, but they were moving right along. And, yeah, they aren't the same old Jets as we remember them. But I'm glad we got a win yesterday. First time, by the way, that the Vikings have ever went to New York and won against the Jets. So that was
cool. They still haven't gone to New York and won. This one was in New Jersey.
Oh, that's true. Sorry. The weird New York, New Jersey stuff up there. They've never went on the road to play the Jets and won. But it's weird because it's funny because it's the same stadium as the Giants, and I believe we went on the road and beat the Giants there. So I don't know. We've won in this stadium before, but not against that team. Weird stuff in the NFL.
Yeah, weird time in the NFL. The one thing is that the Jets have always been known for having a strong run game and a solid, if not great, defense. And I think we saw a little bit more of that same thing this game, but we're going to talk a lot more about that game here soon.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. We'll do our game balls and donkeys like we always do. But first, we're going to do our quick hits because that's what we always do here on the podcast. So let's jump right in. If you guys didn't hear about last week's game against the Cardinals, Mike Hughes, rookie corner that was doing all right for us this year, is on IR from a torn ACL. So the Vikings had to fill that spot, and they brought back defensive tackle David Perry. I know Adam's really excited about it. This guy stepped in earlier in the season and didn't do bad. So welcome back to the team.
No, I was a bit surprised that he went from being the backup to being gone. Jaleel Johnson did pretty solid when he was asked to, so I think that's why that happened. But with what was going on with Linval missing this week, it wasn't really too much of a surprise to see David Perry come back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At the time, it seemed weird, though.
Yeah, exactly. We're thinking about. I'm sure I'm not the only fan of this team that thinks, man, all Mike Zimmer does is get defensive players, but these guys get paid to do this and make a lot of money for a living doing this stuff, so it makes a lot of sense in the long run. So that was cool to have him in there. As we talked about just now, Linval Joseph was out with a minor injury. He'll be back soon, but that was cool to have him come and fill in because David Perry had some flashes earlier in the year. So
I'm going to need you to watch the chat because I can't get anything.
Okay, cool. 1-5 versus the Jets at New Jersey, says Yang Yaj. Game ball, the Vikings' defensive depth. Not bad. What's up, Kathy? Skull right back to you. Yeah, we'll talk about that, the depth, Yang Yaj. We'll get there. They stepped up in a big way, so I was really, really happy with them. Adam Thielen ties Charlie Hennigan's record with 7 consecutive games of 100 yards or more to start a season. Now, my question about this is, because I'm having a healthy debate on Facebook about it, and we'll talk about Adam Thielen later. This is the first time that anyone minus Charlie Hennigan has started the season with 100 yards or more in each game. But I'm sure there's a longer record for 100-yard consecutive games throughout any part of any season.
I actually believe it's 8.
I think so, too.
Because I know that there was a stretch where Megatron had 8. And I think that's it.
100-yard receiving games. We'll look this up. We'll get that later.
But yeah, Adam Thielen has just been on an absolute tear. The way it started out, it didn't look like he was going to get there because they were having trouble getting him the ball. The Jets were making it a focus not to let him do what they could do. But then you had those announcers that were screwing up saying the wrong player's name, so it seemed like he had it and then he didn't. And They were confusing every white guy on the field for Adam Thielen. It was confusing.
Yeah, when Zylstra caught it, they're like, there's some more. Oh, no, that's another white guy. Sorry. Then you can insert all the Patriot jokes about, oh, man, why is Adam Thielen not on the Patriots roster? Because that's all they have is white receivers. But nonetheless, we are excited for him. I know everybody that's a Vikings fan was hoping that he would keep the streak alive. We all want the win. Obviously, that's more important. But, man, he was getting double-teamed yesterday, too, on quite a few occasions and still found a way to do it. So he's absolutely on fire. And through and through, I think he's the MVP of the team of the year. And our own Kyle West showed a picture earlier of, so I think it was NBC. They were talking about who they thought should be up for the MVP debate. Of course, there's Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers was in there. But number 5 was our own Adam Thielen. That's never been done for a wide receiver to win MVP. And it would take a lot for him to do it, but that's pretty cool that his name's even being mentioned considering his story.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks he's been there in that consideration, and both times he's been at number 5, so he's still like a long shot. But I do believe that this is going to be his way of really cementing his legacy.
Yeah, I'm really excited for him, and we'll keep talking about his legacy here because Thielen has moved past John Gilliam and Percy Harvin to be 10th all-time in the Vikings receiving yards. He has 3,346. He trails Kyle Rudolph, who was number 9 on the all-time receiving list, by 89 yards. Barring an injury, Thielen is going to pass this with flying colors this year, and this is insane to think about. I don't know where he's going to end up by the end of the year, but he's definitely going to pass Rudy, and he's going to be one of the all-time Viking greats. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to get a little tougher once he gets into those top receivers. Ahmad Rashad probably won't happen this year, so I doubt he'll get up to 7th. But like I'm saying, he's been climbing up so fast. And now that he's going up against an active player on the Vikings roster, it'll be interesting to watch him and Kyle Rudolph kind of jockey for position.
So I was talking about earlier, to go back to it because I found it, most consecutive games, 100 or more pass yards receiving. We have Michael Urban, it says 7, and Charlie Hennigan. 1995 for Urban, 61 for Charlie Hennigan. So if he does it again against the Saints this coming weekend, which is going to be tough, he will be the only person to ever do that. There's quite a few with 6, the earliest being Isaac Bruce from the St. Louis Rams in 1995. And then there's a lot of people who had 5 as early as Anquan Bolden, Terrell Owens. And I'm not going to go down the list of these names because those get a lot older and probably don't know who they are. But he's in elite company, and he's looking to make history this coming weekend. And I'm sure that'll be the talk of everybody on Sunday Night Football, because that's when it is. It's going to be Sunday night at home in Minnesota versus the Saints, NFC divisional matchup from last year, rematch. So that's cool. So we'll keep you posted on that next week. Stay tuned to the show for that. Oh, this one's cool. Chris Dolman donated his Pro Football Hall of Fame bust to the Vikings Museum in Eagan. That is awesome.
Yeah, he brought that to his autograph signing, too, when he came to Fan HQ and was signing autographs for fans. They were able to take pictures with him and his bust, which I think that's really awesome. Dolman, he also was the one who sounded the horn before the game against the Cardinals, which was pretty amazing. So it's nice to see him getting back out there, back active, doing his thing, and being more involved and letting the fans get a little bit of his history there at the museum.
That's really cool. Now, I know that one stays in Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Did they get their own? Is that what he donated? See, yep. That's super cool. If I'm telling you now, if I'm a pro football player, I'm keeping my own. And I'm going to show it around my house. But obviously, he's just like, you know what? We'll give it back to the place that made me famous. So that's super cool.
Yeah, I love seeing stuff like that. And if you do have a chance, go check out that museum. There's so much fun stuff in there.
All right, I'm looking in the chat. Fire Breather, I have to give you a shout out. Yes, you did join our Discord chat, and I looked at it, but unfortunately the game was over, and we usually exit right when the game is over with. So I really appreciate you joining. Come back again. We'd love to have you in there. That's a cool thing we do here on the Purple People podcast. During the game, we'll get our apps on our phone, and we'll use Discord. If you guys haven't downloaded it, it's pretty cool. We'll have a live chat going about the game. I joined a little late, but it was fun. It was exciting. Yang Yaj and Real Purple and Gold Minnesota Vikings says, Skull, great win Sunday. Another amazing Thielen performance. Eric Kendricks has missed way too many one-on-one tackles. Yeah, we'll talk about that because Eric Kendricks is a monster, but I was screaming at my TV when I watched that.
You have no idea how lost I am without having the chat to follow along with. I'm so used to doing that.
This is kind of cool. I see why you guys do it now. I hate seeing in my peripherals myself looking at my computer, talking 10 seconds earlier, but it's fine. Jake Z says game ball Thielen, Donkey Kendricks. Wow, man. I don't know that we've had maybe once or twice we've given Kendricks the Donkey.
It has happened, but not often.
Not often at all. Michael Cambria. Hey, guys. What's up, Michael? Jake Z is pretty active in the chat. I'll keep going down. Paul Gruber's in there, too. What's up, dude? Going right along for Vikings.com. This was cool. The Vikings players read the Minnesota Nice tweets in a parody of Jimmy Kimmel's mean tweets. I love the sentiment of it, but it was super duper corny. So
it was so corny.
It was pretty cheesy and super lame, but I still enjoy anything that involves the Vikings, and their social media team tries to keep it really family friendly. So that was pretty cool to see. There's a lot of love for all of our players. Even CJ Ham was in there, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen. It's pretty
Why
cool.
did they have Adam Thielen read one about Stephon Diggs, though? That kind of threw me off a little bit.
I don't. Your guess is as good as mine, man. I have the same style of questions as to why Chris Thomason is still employed and does all that stuff.
Oh.
It threw you for a loop. You're like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Hey, he asked again at this most recent media session for injury updates, and you know how that's going to go. Not well.
I'm keeping up with the chat here. I'm looking. Paul Gruber said Calvin Johnson went over 100 yards, making the 8th straight game.
Right.
Topped 100 receiving yards. So I'm assuming that means he'll be tied if he continues this weekend. That's cool. Another bad.
I was pretty sure Megatron had 8.
Another bad Monday night game. Yeah, just to update you guys NFL wide, the Falcons and the Giants are playing, and they're both pretty much dumpster fires this year. So if you want to go watch sad football, they're playing right now on Monday Night Football.
Hey, I've got Monday Night Raw on right now in the background.
I'd rather
sad to see Roman Reigns have to turn over the belt, but damn that leukemia.
Moving right along, we have this one's terrible. A Vikings fan rental car and 6 others were burned in the parking lot by hot coals from grills during the game against the Jets. Be sure to be safe when attending the road games. I'm getting pretty sick of reading this stuff, guys. I'm not going to go off on a tangent like I usually do, but you got to be a human being and have some sort of class, even if you're on the road. And even if we had, let's say we get home field advantage in the playoffs and we have a team come through, this would never happen in Minnesota. And it's gross and disgusting, and I don't like people that do that, and they need to be tried and charged at the highest degree. That's really shitty. I'm sorry.
Every game I've went to at US Bank Stadium, I've ended up sitting next to a fan of the opposing team. Whether it's on my side or my guests' side, they were next to us. And we treat them just like we treat any other football fan. Sure, we'll rib a little bit, but never harass. And if it seems like the ribbing doesn't get taken very well, you cut it out.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. Like, it's bad enough going to a game and your team loses, and you have to deal with that, especially around people who are probably going to be jerks and make comments to you, and you just have to ignore it on that long walk to your car. But destroying someone's personal property is a crime, and I don't care who thinks that I'm a nerd for saying that and blah 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 blah. Like, just imagine, and it's an age-old saying. Go back and think if you walked out there and someone had done that to your car, you're going to be pretty pissed, right?
Now, in that article, too, it was really interesting because the police said they don't have jurisdiction on that property because it belongs to the stadium. And the stadium says they don't have any liability for damage to vehicles, so they're trying to deny every claim. And the lady didn't have the extra insurance on her vehicle, so now they're trying to figure out what to do because it seems like nobody's liable and she'll have to pay for the damage.
Paul Gruber's making a good point in the chat. He says this wasn't intentional. I guess tailgates dumped hot coals and other fans drove and parked over them. Well, that's a super good, convenient thing that it was only the Vikings fans that parked over those. I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong, Paul.
It could absolutely be an accident. It could be something that nobody planned on because of the high winds and just careless people doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
I don't know, but either way, it's something that needs to stop. These people come to these football games for entertainment. They don't come to walk out and find their car burnt or get pelted with beers or peed on or whatever. It's just not the way football should be.
No, absolutely not. It's disgusting. I hope it wasn't intentional. This one's cool. Latavius Murray, he's bringing the Vikings ground. He's making the Vikings running attack great again. I love it. They were so bad the first 6 weeks.
So bad.
Finally became a staple again last week and this past game yesterday. He is nominated for the FedEx Ground Award for Week 6. He should have won last week because he had like 155 yards, but I don't know that he's going to win it this week with not having as many yards on the ground. But he did have a pair of touchdowns. He's finding these big holes and taking just absolute advantage of them. Stiff arms are looking real nice. And knock on wood here, really loud so you guys can hear it, he hasn't fumbled. So that's always good. I'm really happy for Latavius. And he's stepping up in the absence of Dalvin Cook, which has been lingering on and on week to week. So good luck for him. That'd be cool if he got an individual award there.
Now, last week, the Cardinals are abysmal against the run. So I think everybody expected Minnesota to get something going. Now, the Jets are not awful in that respect. So when they were able to come out and run the ball efficiently against the Jets, it is now giving even more hope that, yes, there can be a running game in Minnesota. Because for a while, it didn't look like there was going to be.
Yeah, it was really embarrassing, and I'm glad we're back to a decent – we had a winning record after last week's win, but we have a decent winning record now. And currently, I hate this stat too, and I'll just say it by the way. I hate that all these Vikings outlets are like, we're on top of the NFC North again. Like, dude, the Packers had a bye. Like, I understand that the Bears lost. They lost to the freaking Pats.
You can only play who's put in front of you.
I get it. I hate
it's nice to be on top after 7.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not gonna hate on us being in first place. I just don't like the circumstances. If we had all played, that'd be cool. The Lions did get a win yesterday against the Dolphins, which is crazy because they just beat the Bears last week.
Don't the Packers have the Rams next week or something like that, though?
They have the Rams. They go to the Rams and to the Patriots in consecutive weeks. So Have fun with that, Packers. Don't see them overcoming either one of those games. Yeah, it was weird. I was speaking on the Lions and how weird football is. I don't know what is happening. 7 weeks in, going into week 8, we still really don't know a lot. A lot of things are confusing. I think they'll iron themselves out in the month of November. But, yeah, it's a weird week still. Back and forth. Bad teams are winning, good teams are losing, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about that later, though. The Vikings have hired Laura Juris as Vice President of People and Culture. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it?
It is.
It's a little bit more of a branch out of their PR. And I honestly think that anything that they can do to improve relationships between fans, the business itself, the community, and really anything is amazing. So the fact that they're reaching out even more to try to promote themselves and equality and everything else among the workplace, it's really cool. I enjoy seeing all of this. I'm not really 100% sure what her job duties are as the Vice President of People and Culture, but whatever it is, I hope she's darn good at it.
Yeah, I would actually be very interested to learn more about what her job entails. But nonetheless, you made news on this podcast, and we are congratulating you and wish you the best of luck. So that's awesome. We have some acquisitions we need to talk about and a release. The Vikings signed cornerback Craig James to the practice squad, and they released cornerback Jalen Myrick. So there's your transactions for the week.
I thought Myrick might be a candidate to be escalated to the main roster after the injury to
Mike Hughes
after the ACL. But it appears that they're going to continue playing the hopscotch game there on the practice squad, bringing some players in, hopping others out. Craig James, familiar face to Vikings fans, of course. He's a regular guy to be rotating in and out of the practice squad. So maybe we'll see this get switched around here in a little bit again. Who knows?
I don't know. That's one of the things that I could never understand. And I don't get it. This is way beyond me. And this is why I never would be an executive for football and stuff. Like, I don't know how you determine throughout the weeks. I know obviously if that position gets injured and your depth is lacking, that would be a start, but I don't know how you pick between these guys. Cool. Welcome. Welcome, Craig James. Good luck, Jalen Myrick. That's pretty much all I've got.
But it's nice to have more talent available. And if it's a cheap way to be able to have another guy ready at a moment's notice, why not?
Real Purple and Gold Minnesota says, you guys hear anything about us going after Richard Sherman? I'm going to say that's not happening because he has, I read it yesterday, the passer rating that he's allowing right now is as if the quarterback threw it into the ground every time. And we talked about this too, or I talked about this, excuse me, today on the Viking Age. I think it was Adam Patrick that put it out. I don't know if it was yours or Adam Patrick's. Was people are saying that Patrick Peterson, there's a report out that he wants to be traded by the end of next week.
Yeah.
The deadline. People want us to go after him. Guys, we have no money. We can't afford these people. So
there are guys that are making close to that money this year, though.
Yeah.
That they could swap in and out. I mean, it's not impossible, but extremely unlikely.
Yeah, it's highly unlikely that this would happen. I mean, I'd be cool with anybody coming in really that's talented. I don't really care as long as you're not a piece of crap human being. So, but I just don't see that being it, because we've been pushed to the brim with our money. So this is one of the things that we talked about before the season started. This could happen.
It's true.
Fire Breather says, yeah, we're talking about Philly in the chat a lot and how much we don't like them.
Oh, no.
It's bad. Heard that Philly players were dancing like they beat Carolina. That was the start of the fourth quarter. They're not dancing too much now. That makes me very happy that Philadelphia is having to go through the losing side of things now, because, man, that was just a rough offseason. Those guys, I understand. I'd be super happy if the Vikings won a Super Bowl, but wouldn't act like that and go down that far about it. But, hey, man, that's what happens. There's usually always a Super Bowl hangover if your team is not the New England Patriots. So good luck with that. The last quick we have is the Vikings launched a flash briefing for Amazon Alexa. Oh, that's cool.
Now, I had to Google this because I don't know what a flash briefing is. I guess that if you have one of those Alexa devices for Amazon, you can have the news read to you in voices of the people that put out the news. So you can have you can have people from the Vikings reading you Vikings news on your Amazon Alexa.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that.
You just got to go and sign on up for that. And honestly, I don't have an Amazon Alexa, but it's got Vikings host Mike Wobschall, Ben Lieber, Chris Corso, and Alexa Score, which I'm assuming is not the Alexa from from the Amazon Alexa. But yeah, I guess you can download an app and ask for your Vikings flash briefings, and there you go.
That's pretty cool. I don't have one either, but if you're into that, now you guys can go do it and tell us how it works and see if anything weird happens.
I like finding weird quick hits like that because I hadn't heard anything about that before this. But if I had an Amazon Alexa, you bet your bibby I'd be having it give me Vikings news.
Oh, absolutely. I'm asking Fire Breather in the chat. It said, imagine that Philly fans light stuff on fire when they win and lose. What the hell they're going to do in the tie?
I don't know. It's weird. All right, before we get into our stats from this game, let's talk about our game ball and donkey. Of course, there were some great performances that we all enjoyed, but I'm going to kick things off with my game ball, and I'm going to give it to Trey Waynes because he had himself one heck of a game. Sam Darnold threw the football 7 times in the direction of Trey Waynes, and it only ended up 1 completion for 4 yards. He had 2 of those passes broken up through his own efforts, and his third one was an interception. His passer rating allowed to Sam Darnold was a 0.0, and he also had 2 run stops on the day. He put forth an amazing effort, and I don't know. To me, he just keeps on getting better as time goes along, and hopefully he continue to play at a high level because he was good last week, but he was really good this week.
Yeah, I'm happy to have him back for sure.
Yeah, when he is healthy, he's a great player, but wow. I mean, even I wasn't expecting him to come out and put this kind of performance up. The Jets had to have a lot of success going to their tight end because it was all that was really open. I'm
sorry, I'm discussing stuff in the chat, so I'm trying to do these 2 things at once.
It's distracting a little bit, isn't it? But it's fun.
It is, and I hate to veer off the subject a little bit because we got real purple and gold Minnesota Vikings. You can tell me because you do the chat more than I do. I haven't heard of this person or seen this person yet, but they're asking good questions because the biggest competition in the NFC is the Rams. So they're asking, who do you see the Rams winning streak getting ended by? And I looked at their schedule. Man, they got a rough second half of the year. Scott Schwab made it in. What's up, man? Michael Cambria is in there. Michael Cambria agrees with you with your pick of Trey Waynes. So,
oh, he was so good.
I like it. You said before we jumped into stuff, I didn't hear that because I was trying to type. Did you do the Survival League update, or are we going straight into game ball and donkey?
I'm going to hold off on that till the end of the show because a lot of us picked the Falcons, so I want a little better idea.
Okay, too easy. I gave my game ball to J-Ron Curse. Have never given it to him before, so I'm really excited about that, and I'll tell you why. I'm a stat guy, and I know a lot of people hate that, but let's read off what J-Ron Curse did because it was pretty damn good yesterday. 5 tackles, tied leading the team with Eric Kendricks. He's just under Eric Kendricks because all of Eric's tackles were solo. 4 of the 5 were solo for J-Ron Curse. He had 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a quarterback hit. Yeah, he stepped up pretty good yesterday, so I'm really excited, and I hope that he plays like that from here on out. Very, very excited.
Dorian Foley, who wasn't here with us today, he went a pretty good route. He chose Adam Thielen, which I don't think anyone could complain with in any way.
Nope.
I mean, he ended up with over 100 yards again. He made some great plays, and he had a touchdown that he probably shouldn't have had. So his concentration and athleticism are just amazing. His hands, I don't know. He just continues making plays. And Kyle West just threw a bunch of names out, so who knows who he's talking about.
Pretty much everybody. I think Kyle does that just to get on Adam's nerves because Adam wants you to pick specific players and break it down. And he's like, hey, I'll just throw it out for everybody. Going right along, let's go down our donkeys here. I don't know why, because Adam threw it out in the chat with us that our best offensive lineman this week was Rashad Hill, but Dorian Foley gave him the donkey this week. I'm not sure why, if he just hates him that bad, but
well, it's not Laquan Treadwell, so that's okay.
Yeah.
I believe that Foley just saw some pressures from the weak side and threw it on there, but as a whole, I don't think the offensive line did that bad. As a matter of fact, Pro Football Focus did say that Rashad Hill and the offensive line just did a real good job of containing and not offering a lot of pressures. So I don't know. As a whole, can't complain a whole lot about that. It says it's his best game by a distance. He actually led all Vikings offensive linemen with a grade of 70.4. And his previous best was a 63.3. So, yeah, moving on up.
Yeah, I was glad to see that he had a better performance because the week before was awful. Now, we already went over that last week, but having to cover Chandler Jones is a tall order for anybody. But, yeah, moving around. He wasn't in his natural position either. So,
well, the offensive line as a whole only surrendered 8 pressures on the day on 43 dropbacks, which is pretty good.
That's awesome.
And no offensive line player allowed more than 2 pressures or surrendered a sack. So, hey, can't complain with that one bit.
Man, these Vikings road games have been something this year. So, I keep the streak alive. Mine, I didn't want to give this out, but I have to say, all things considered, you knew this was going to happen with the numbers Adam Thielen was putting up. I'm going to give my donkey to Diggs. Had a couple drops yesterday, and honestly, man, with the guy getting paid as much as he did, he had 14 targets. He only caught 8 of them for 33 yards. I just want to see more out of Diggs. I'm not going to say I feel bad for Thielen because I know he's doing everything in his power just to win and be in the right spot. But I want to see Diggs step up a little bit more. It's been a quiet year for him, surprisingly.
Well, my major problem with it was Diggs had 14 footballs thrown his way, and he ran the ball twice. And between the two, 26 yards. You can't have that kind of production when you're getting the ball or getting that many opportunities. It's just not the way it works. And when Adam Thielen's out there just wheeling and dealing, catching 9 of his 10 targets for 110 and a score, I mean, it just kind of makes him look ineffective. And maybe part of the reason why he's not as effective is because Adam Thielen is doing what he's doing. They're trying to take him away so they can isolate Thielen. And I get that, but Diggs, I think he's going to have his return game here very soon where he's going to just explode onto the scene, and maybe a defense will do everything they can to take Thielen away. And then Diggs will have a massive game. I think that's how this offense works. And I'm excited to see when he's able to come back in and do his thing, because this was definitely not his best effort or best outing. And the effort was there, but the outing just didn't turn out his way.
I got the stat sheet in front of me. I apologize running down this list. So
no worries. My donkey of the week. I went with Sheldon Richardson. And I know this is kind of a little bit of a surprise because over on the Viking Age, my one of my writers over there chose this individual for their defensive MVP, but he's my donkey of the week. Sheldon Richardson. Now, Sheldon Richardson, of course, he was playing in a game where he didn't have Linval Joseph next to him, and that can hurt real bad. But he finished the day with a Pro Football Focus rating of 42.9. He missed 2 tackles, and he had a big roughing the passer penalty, which wasn't really his fault because the quarterback kind of fell back into him, and it was a flag that shouldn't have been thrown. But still, that goes against him when you go and look into his rankings and everything. But more concerningly is he opened the season so strong. In the first 2 games, 13 pressures. And in the last 5 games, just 12. He's cooled off a lot. And I want to see him return to that form that he was at earlier in the season.
I did like that Sheldon Richardson kind of owned up to his personal stuff. Now, that's just me and my personality, and I like to see people who act good off the field too. I heard about an interview with him before the game and talking about his time in New York, and he didn't have any bad things to say because he kind of forced his own self out. And that was almost verbatim what he said. He said he enjoyed his time there, and if he could go back in time, he wouldn't have done what he had done previously, and probably acted a little better, probably been a better professional. But he was happy with his time there, and he gave nothing but good stuff. He sounds really mature is what I'm getting at.
He said he grew up a lot since he arrived in Minnesota, and he's grown a lot as a man, which is good. Absolutely wonderful. Kyle West, yeah, he threw more people against the wall, I guess. But he went for Diggs and Cousins, which we already talked about Diggs. Kirk Cousins, I don't know if it was the wind that bothered him or what was going on, but he also just didn't seem to be on top of things. Aside from the 2 nice deep throws that he had for touchdowns to Thielen and Aldrich.
Yep.
It really wasn't a good effort all around. And it was pretty amazing the Vikings were able to win the game as convincingly as they did, with Kirk Cousins having a subpar game, Stephon Diggs being a non-factor, and really, for the most part, the Vikings averaging under 4 yards per carry on the ground. You don't see that too often in the NFL, but they were still able to control it thanks to the defense, thanks to Adam Thielen, thanks to Latavius Murray breaking a couple of runs. This is one of those games where, yeah, some players had bad outings, but there were plenty of other players who had good outings to be able to cancel that out. So sometimes you got to take the good and the bad and you put them both together, and there you have a Vikings win.
I'm catching up on the chat here. So Jake Z says his second game ball goes to Matt Will. I'm not sure if we say his name. It's a good choice. Michael Cambria brought up what you were talking about now with Kirk Cousins. Still a lot of batted balls. Between the fumbles and the batted balls, I don't know which is worse for Cousins. That's really been my only complaint of him. I have a cool little stat from some Vikings thing that I follow on Facebook. I have a ton of those pages that I follow, but those touchdowns yesterday that Kirk Cousins threw both had under a 30% chance of completion, based on the coverage and the distance and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, the deep ball's there. I don't know that any of us really worried too much about the deep ball. He's been known to throw the ball a lot through his career, but he's been as advertised and worth every penny. But he does have some things that he needs to get better at. And I'm sick of seeing balls being batted down because
the third down conversions
dangerous.
First half were bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Let's talk about the game ball and donkeys that I put up on Facebook. Let's start at the bottom and work our way to the top here. Kathy Esberg gives her game ball to the running game, which is nice to see. Her donkey goes to the announcers on the day, and normally I want it to be something related to the Vikings, but man, those announcers were bad, and we're going to get them again against the Lions, so that's not good. Not good at all. Yang Yaj gives his game ball to the Vikings defensive depth, and considering the injuries, yeah, they had to step in and make some plays, and they sure did. Let's see. Game ball. We've got Jaron Pack here who says Danny Isadora did pretty good, as a backup to Tom Compton. And his donkey, though, that's a tough one. I feel everyone had a good game. That's a positive approach. I like that. I wrote in there that I gave my game ball to the Vikings for winning and the Jets for losing is the donkey. So made that easy. Thomas Buge gives his game ball to Matt Weil. Says he kept him out of trouble in a big way. His donkey, he says Rock Thomas, who hasn't been good in the regular season. The O-line's bad. At least Murray and Boone are pulling weight. But I do want to say that Rock Thomas isn't quite the same kind of running back as Boone and Murray are. He isn't that kind of bruiser. He's more that gadget guy. And right now, whenever they try to get those gadget plays going, bad things happen, whether it's trying to swing out to him on the side and ends up being a reverse pass, which they did again.
Yeah, I'm looking at it in the chat. Paul Gerber says, "Oh, the backwards pass. Take that out of the playbook." 1,000%.
Yeah, get it out of there.
I got an interesting question in the chat, and I'm commenting back right now. Scott Schwab says, "Is Adam Thielen our current day Adrian Peterson?" I think we're about a season too early to predict, but if he keeps it up like this and keeps having consistent 1,000-yard seasons, yes.
If he finishes this season very strong, I could see him being, turning into the face of the franchise. I could see it. I could absolutely see it. The final game ball donkey is Amber Klemba, who says that she is. And I said, "You're the game ball and the donkey." And she said, "I deserve the game ball and the donkey thing. I don't know what's going on here."
Going around the NFL, talking about how bad Eli Manning is. He has to retire after this year. I agree with you, Fire Breather. Talking about Pat Elflein, Scott Schwab again.
They never should have put Eli Manning back in after he got pulled. He should have been done.
That takes some balls to do, especially coming from Ben McAdoo, who's one of the oddest looking coaches ever. Looks like your dad that's dating your divorced mom he works down at Radio Shack or whatever. I love that comparison from Le Batard, but they're saying poor Pat Shurmur. And then speaking of Pat Elflein coming back into his own. Thank God we have that guy back. Oof.
Oh yeah.
Really happy because we've lost so many people on the line this year. I know Riley Reif's still out. Is Mike Rimmers, did he come back or is he still out too?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on him.
Yeah, it's just a lot of patchwork. Thank God they're figuring it out.
But to be honest, I'm fine without Rimmers.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but I hate to say this old saying, but if we're paying you that much, get your ass on the field and start playing.
Isadora stepped in and played pretty well. Can't really complain there.
Yep, truth. So let's go down the list of stats real quick. Read these out. I'm just going to read some of the highlights. I'm going to stop reading every single stat from everything, but our passing leader, Kirk Cousins, 25 of 40, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 1 sack for 13 yards, QBR of 30.6, 95.5 rating. He didn't have a good QBR because he was kind of average all day minus the touchdowns, but I'm okay with it. He didn't turn the ball over, and he only took 1 sack, so I'm happy with that. Sam Darnold had a bad day.
Yes, he did.
17 of 42.
That's an ouchie right there.
Only 206 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 pretty bad picks, 3 sacks for 14 yards lost. This is where it gets into play. Kirk Cousins had a bad QBR of 30.6. Sam Darnold's QBR was 5.9. Kirk Cousins' rating was 95.9, and his rating, Sam Darnold, is 34.4.
Now, I will say for Sam Darnold, one of those interceptions did come off the hands of his receivers and shouldn't be on him. But there was one that was way off target that I don't even understand why he threw that football where he did. But as this is the NFL, rookie quarterbacks are going to start facing some tough defenses, and Sam Darnold's going to start learning some lessons. He's going to.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to go up and down. I didn't expect him to come out, this year. I think his first game, they went off. I know they beat Detroit, which is cool because now we've won that battle on one of our division rivals. But, man, this is what you expect out of a rookie quarterback, and it's a pretty simple formula. I'm not a football coach. I've never played football. But if you pressure a quarterback a lot and force him to throw with people in his face, not all of those are going to be accurate unless he gets the ball out super quick like Peyton Manning used to do. So,
hey, Kyle, what's the mindset of a rookie quarterback?
I don't know. Probably you'll have to ask them.
You have to ask a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. Mike Zimmer quote of the week a couple weeks ago. I don't get it. But yeah, if you're getting pressure on him and he's going to be forced to throw, under pressure, he's going to make some mistakes. It's not like I was saying, it's not Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, where they can just get the ball out in under 2 seconds before you have time to think or even get pressure. So, and he was good, man. He made some good plays. He did some good stuff with his feet too, getting a couple first downs. But ultimately, the pass rush and the interior, the D-line made their presence felt, and it forced him to throw a lot. And he'll get better. I think he's the best quarterback out of this draft, but he's still got a lot to learn. So good luck to Sam Darnold. I'm glad he's a classy dude, and I'm sure he'll bounce back, and just hopefully not against us next time. Rushing, we have Latavius Murray. He was the leader, 15 carries for 69 yards, 4.6 average, and a pair of touchdowns. He had a long 38-yard run, which was incredible to watch. Very happy to see the running game coming back. We had 88 yards rushing, which is nothing to brag about, but it's better than what it was. So happy to see Latavius back in his groove.
Absolutely.
Because those runs that he got off, I mean, I think the last couple of touchdowns he's had, they're over 20 yards. Like, he's just finding a hole immediately, and that gets you to the second level for you guys that are football dumb like I used to be, and you get to the linebackers there. If you can beat a linebacker, which most running backs should be able to, then you're off to the secondary. So it was pretty cool to see.
Well, Latavius isn't a speedster. He's not going to juke people out of their shoes, but he is going to bruise through people. He's going to be hard to bring down because of his size, low center of gravity, and all that. And we saw that on his 38-yard run, where people just could not bring him down. There were people that were trying to bring him down, but because of his size, speed, and just power, it couldn't happen. On the flip side of that, I was really interested to see that Minnesota was able to slow down the rushing attack of the Jets, because the Jets are one of the best running teams in the NFL. And I figured going into this game that with the wind the way it was, 24 miles an hour, blowing pretty heavy, throwing off, punting and kicking and everything, I figured the Jets would be taking this opportunity to just pound the rock on the ground, and they couldn't.
Yeah, I was going to read that off next because we read off our rushing leaders. I think it was Isaiah Crowell a couple weeks ago had 200 yards on the ground, and in their highest rusher of the day was below Isaiah Crowell with 29 yards. Below Powell had 20 yards. We stopped the run, and that's an age-old mentality for a good defense, is stop the run first, and then you'll pressure the quarterback, and then it'll contain the passing game. We did it, and they only had 71 yards on the ground the whole day, with the leader being 29. There was only one big run of 11 yards, and I think that was the one where Eric Kendricks missed the tackle from Bilal Powell. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, only 49 combined from Crowell and Powell, that's
awesome.
Mind-blowing after the last couple weeks.
Moving on to the passing attack, Adam Thielen racked up 9 receptions from 10 targets for 110 yards, 34-yard catch for his longest one, which was a touchdown. Our boy Aldrick Robinson targeted 3 times, only caught 1, but it was a 34-yard bomb on 4th down for a touchdown to pretty much seal the game. Stephon Diggs caught 8 passes out of 14 targets for 33. Brandon Zylstra came in, and Kyle Rudolph got catches of their own. Murray caught 2, and Laquan Treadwell caught 3 passes. So Kirk Cousins divvying up the passing attack again. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different receivers there. So pretty happy with the passing game overall. Glad to see Adam Thielen still kicking everybody's ass. So that's cool. Aldrick Robinson coming up in the clutch, man. He's like Diet Jarius Wright for us. I really enjoy that.
I love when a player gets targeted and catches every football that comes his way, because that shows concentration, that shows trust, and it keeps building on the team. Laquan Treadwell might not be raking in the yards, but when you have 3 catches for 11 yards, it seems like nothing. But when every time the football was thrown his way, he caught it and gained some yards, that's something. Latavius Murray did the same twice for 14. Brandon Zylstra had the ball thrown once his way and snagged it for 23. These are the kind of performances that keep you in the game, on the team, and keep things moving forward. As we've said before, a lot of these guys are going to be fighting for jobs next year, whether it's Aldrick Robinson, who wants to be able to stick around for a year, or Laquan Treadwell, who wants to be able to continue to prove himself, or Mike Boone, who missed his only opportunity in the passing game with a drop that was kind of yucky. But it was. But as these guys are going to want to be around fighting. Sure, Adam Thielen's going to be around, but he caught 9 of his 10 targets, and he doesn't mess up a lot. Right. Stephon Diggs, 8 for 14. Well, you can give him some leeway because he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Usually he's got that bigger body of work, and we all have faith that he's going to bounce back and continue to have some big games as the season goes on. Other guys don't have that luxury. So that's why you're going to need to see these kind of performances from Treadwell and Zylstra, who are just trying to fight for their spots right now.
You guys caught me trying to sneak in a snack on the side. One fumble from Kirk Cousins. Doesn't say that he lost or recovered it, so that's cool.
Oh, that fumble was the backwards pass, sir.
Was that earlier in the game?
That stupid backwards pass.
I don't know when that was, but I did miss the first opening drive. I missed the Thielen touchdown. I had to see it on replay, but I don't know. Tom Johnson recovered a fumble, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. God, I'm so glad we got him back. Thank you, Seattle, for dumping him off. I wanted to be like the fly on the wall to hear that phone call that be like, Tom Johnson's available. But sign him now. Get him back.
Oh, yeah. Zimmer had to be all over that because at first they thought, oh, we can't afford to sign all these guys. And it's like, well, he's already making that money. Maybe. But as far as the Jets receivers, one of the major focuses in this game, and although he's not a household name, Robbie Anderson has been tearing things up.
He's going to be a star. I see so much potential in that kid. He's elusive. He's tall. He's going to be good.
He went up against Trey Waynes through a lot of the day and ended the game with 10 targets for 3 catches for 44. He was essentially as close to a non-factor as you could be. And for the guy that's their star, since they just had to waive Terrell Pryor with the injury designation, they're a little loose when it comes to receivers. And I honestly thought they were going to be the team that was going to go out and offer the money to the Raiders for Amari Cooper, but
Cowboys did that today. We're talking about it in the chat. If you guys didn't hear, Amari Cooper is now a Cowboy for a first-round pick. Holy crap.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. That's a lot. It's a lot to pay.
We're talking about in the chat, since we can swing this around full circle about the Vikings. They're saying – somebody was saying, oh, Teddy to the Jags. And I was like, no, because then they'll be good. They could go out and get Derek Carr since John Gruden wants to give all their players away. Yeah, so that's 3 first-round picks coming from the Oakland Raiders next year. That's not going to do them any good this year. They are absolutely terrible. But, I mean, I guess here's the future investments. But that's cool.
I don't like what's going on there. I'm glad the Vikings aren't in rebuilding mode again. It actually didn't take the Vikings long at all to rebuild after the Christian Ponder era. They had some talent that they were able to use in different ways when they got a new head coach, and they filled in the rest of the team pretty nicely and used their draft picks wisely. And they got their quarterback last, which I think is usually the best way to rebuild a franchise, is to build up your team, get those early draft picks, and then boom, there's your quarterback. You got your things in place, put the last 2 or 3 pieces in there, and boom, you got your team.
I want to give a shout out to my friend back home, Casey Coggle, lifelong Redskins fan. I had the debate today, and we can talk about it in the chat because I'd like to ask you guys to move your Minnesota bias aside. Is Adam Thielen the best wide receiver in football right now? And I hate to say right now because every week, I mean, if you go week to week basis, Isaiah Crowell or whoever was the best running back for that week, but consistently through this every single game this year, there's no doubt about it that he is. And he says, I love Thielen. He leans more towards Antonio Brown. He's like, I do miss my quarterback, though. And I was like, yeah, you're not getting your quarterback back, sir. You can have fun with Alex Smith. But thank you for giving us Kirk Cousins. I really do appreciate that. I'm glad that wasn't a dumpster fire. Could we all talk about that for a second and how good it's been so far? Because if he would have came in here and stumped to join up, could you imagine? Because we're not going to cheer for Trevor Siemian to come in because he's awful. But could you imagine the backlash? Like the comments section would be absolute World War III on the Vikings social media pages. So I'm really happy that the Kirk Cousins thing is working out so far.
Well, apparently the Jets media isn't as high as on Kirk Cousins as Vikings fans are.
Oh, don't get me started.
I was hoping to. That's what I was kind of rubbing it there.
Oh, man. I definitely mentioned a guy today in my Twitter, which I rarely get on Twitter ever. This piece of crap from the New York Post, Mike Cesario or whatever.
Kirk Cousins.
He calls Kirk Cousins classless because he decided not to go to New York and take all this money that they wanted to throw at him. Like, well, your team's not good. I don't know what to tell you. Now, they have been better than expected this year for sure, but it's not all about the money, man. Like, if anything, that makes him more classy that he took less money. I don't know. But, yeah, he pretty much said that Kirk Cousins was a loser and, yeah, how dare he not accept this offer from the Jets? Like he was forced to go there just because they gave him the most money in an offer. And then I tweeted at him today. I was like, how much of a dumbass do you feel like that Kirk and the Vikings went into New York and made you their bitch? But I have yet to hear anything back. So I'm looking forward to hearing that response. Which
I do think it's funny how the media can want a player and want a player and want a player. And then as soon as that player doesn't come there, they do a full 360. Well, we probably are 180 on it. And they're like, oh, well, we missed out because, Kirk Cousins fumbles a lot. He's not known for making deep playoff runs and all this. It's like, really, just a couple days ago, you were all in on this Kirk Cousins thing, and now you're trying to justify the thing by yourself to make yourself not feel so bad that he's there.
just salty people who want this guy to be a part of their team, and they missed out on him, and now they're acting like a scorned girlfriend that got cheated on. It's childish. I can't believe the New York Post puts their name on an article like that. It's like bathroom humor, like it's really, really poor writing and really, really tasteless, and I don't like it, and I don't enjoy it, and I let the New York Post know that because I'm an angry Twitter citizen. She's not going to do anything but screw that guy. And
I'm fine for bold opinions, just be justified in them.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you believe them and you've got some good reasons to believe them, all right, lay it on me. But if you're just spiteful to be spiteful, what's the point?
Oh, shout out to my friend David. He's out here and in El Paso, and he's out at Jack's Beach House. We always have a big Viking bar down here. I'm very new to it this season. Wish I would have been here. Wish I would have went sooner. I had known about it, but I didn't check it out. But he says Cousins had some questionable throws on Sunday, lots of batted balls, but happy that he's their quarterback. He also wanted to add that he had some very good throws too. So, hey, man, as long as he keeps this up and keeps the turnovers low, the touchdowns high, and the offense keeps going the way it is, I think Filippo has done a pretty good job for the most part, minus one game that we don't talk about anymore. I think he's done an all right job stepping in. So that was my biggest concern. New quarterback is one thing, but new quarterback and coordinator, I mean, that could be a disaster if it doesn't work out. But thus far, it looks pretty good. So I agree with you, David. Hopefully I'll see you guys Sunday night for that game. As far as the defense goes for this game, Eric Kendricks led the way again with 5 tackles. So did J-Ron Kearse. Harrison Smith, Jaleel Johnson in the mix there. Jaleel Johnson had 4 tackles, 2 by himself, half a sack, half a tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit. Mike Zimmer mentioned in his press conference, he said he didn't know that Jaleel got a sack, but he's really happy that he got one. So I'm happy. This is the depth right here too, guys. Leading the tackle board up top, Ben Gedeon, David Perry, Holton Hill, Tom Johnson. All these guys are making up the first half of this wave. Then our starters, Rhodes, Hunter, Wayne, Stephen Weatherly. Man, this depth, I'm telling you, these guys know what they're doing when they pick these players out, and they've stepped up in a big way. So we wanted to talk about the depth right now. I'm very happy with what I've seen this year from Stephen Weatherly, 110% happy with him. I mentioned already that I'm happy Tom Johnson came back. Holton Hill has came in, and for the most part, the times he's been on the field, he's been pretty good. We talked about the signing back of David Perry. Ben Gedeon, super underrated. I love that guy. I'm happy for Jaleel Johnson, though. Really happy for that guy. So
look at those 4 pass defenses for Trey Waynes. That's awesome.
Woo!
That is what you want to see.
12 passes defended this game, guys. We have Stephen Weatherly, Trey Waynes, Xavier Rhodes, Holton Hill, Harrison Smith, and Eric Kendricks all jumping in the mix there. That's crazy.
That is what you want to see from your defensive backfield right there.
Eric Kendricks broke up a nice touchdown.
Oh, yes. And I believe Weatherly got his hand in on one too, right?
Yep, sure did. He was chasing down a tight end, I believe, which is crazy because Stephen Weatherly's a big dude.
Oh, yes, he is.
All right, let's keep going. We had 3 interceptions on the day. Harrison Smith, thank God for those tip drills. It should have been Xavier Rhodes, and he gave him all the credit in the post-game interview. Took a pick back for 52 yards. Trey Waynes took one back for 24, and Holton Hill took one back for 2 yards. 3 picks, 78 yards. So pretty.
What was the absolute best about that Holton Hill interception was how the announcers said, "If I'm Sam Darnold, I pick on Holton Hill right away." And that very next play, boom. I loved it so much because those announcers were so bad that game. They were stopping play announcing just to give shout-outs to their family. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah, those announcers were awful, like super, super bad. That's all right, though. We got the win, and it was in pretty dominant fashion for the most part. So what can you do?
Yeah, Holton Hill had those 2 kick returns, too, averaging 28.5 each. One was a real nice one that went for 30. So, yeah, I'm usually a big fan of team touchback, but Holton Hill got out to about the 27 once, I think, and yeah, I guess 27 is better than 25, but I'd still rather take the safe yards and not risk anybody getting hurt. Because I know that a lot of people say it a lot, but those kick returns, they are one of the most dangerous plays in the sport of football with how fast everybody's moving and those collisions and how easy it is to get tied up or thrown a direction or, twist your leg on somebody else's body. It could be a mess. I'm just a fan of taking that knee in the end zone.
Yeah, it's 25 free yards. I'm right there with you. So Absolutely with her. Rounding out the special team stuff for the day, punt returns. Marcus Sherrills had 5 for 52. Longest was 20. Brandon Zilstra had 1 for 5. Dan Bailey did miss a field goal. The wind got a hold of it, man. It was textbook. It was absolutely textbook.
Mm-hmm.
The wind just got a hold of it at the end. The announcers, even though they were pretty dreadful the whole day, did recognize that, and they called it out. Was happy, but he made all of his extra points. Matt Weil had 8 punts. Longest
That's a lot of
66.
punts.
Yeah, it is. There was not a lot of converting going on for most of this game. 8 punts for 382 yards. Average was 47.8. He had one that went for 66. Really happy with the way he's been punting. So
yeah, he had 2 punts go for over 60 yards in this game, which was really impressive.
Like it. That's the breakdown of all the stats from the game. I'm impressed with this win. Like I said, I won't say that I was worried that we were going to lose in dominant fashion, but this was not one of those teams that you sleep on. They had been hot and coming in. They were on a 2-game win streak, and it's part of that tough AFC East tour. The Dolphins have looked pretty good for most of the year so far. The Bills upset us in a shocking game that I don't ever want to talk about again. And then, of course, we have to go to Foxborough. So not an easy outing anymore in the AFC East. It'll be one of those teams it's one of those divisions that'll annoy you. You know, you have your front runner, but the other teams you can't really pencil in a win anymore. You got to earn it. So I'm really glad the Vikings went in on the road again and did it in weird conditions, because the wind was a small factor in the game too.
I just stumbled across something really odd that it's not Vikings news, but it's NFL news in a way. So I'm sure you guys have maybe heard of Ray Caruth.
Yep.
The story of him with the Carolina Panthers, involved in a murder plot, and he finally got released, and now the NFL is having to block fans from custom ordering his jersey because so many people want to get
a Ray Caruth jersey.
A Ray Caruth jersey.
God, order your Darren Sharper ones too while you're at it. Jesus Christ.
Why? Why do people want this jersey?
I don't know. People are weird and gross and disturbing. I don't get it.
Because I was going to go look up the fantasy league stats, but I pull it up and I'm like, why? Why does the NFL have to block these? The only other 2 jerseys, I guess, that they have blocked are Aaron Hernandez and OJ Simpson. But
hey, you can't get the Juices jersey on there.
I don't understand. Why would you want that jersey?
True. I just think about the Dave Chappelle stand-up. It makes me laugh a lot.
Oh, man.
David asked some good questions in the chat. He said, I'm winning the Mega Million on Tuesday, and I'm buying the Vikings.
Well, I'll tell you what you're not winning is the Survival League, buddy.
Looking now, and it says, do you guys see, and this is from David again, my friend down here in El Paso, says, do you see Diggs getting more targets upcoming? Do you think defenses will lock down Adam Thielen more and give Diggs more of a chance?
More than 14 targets? No.
I think that if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm going to take the Bill Belichick approach. I'm going to take your best weapon and your most reliable thing, and I'm going to shut it down. That's just the way I would do it. Like I said, I don't know anything about football, so I'm just a fan here talking about my team. But I would say yes, but then you're just going to see – I think Flip would change the passes around. I think Diggs would get more targets. I think Rudy would step up and have the game of the season. We see Aldrick Robinson catching touchdowns. Laquan Treadwell doesn't look like complete shit this year. So, pick your poison. The offense we have is good. I want to know the stat overall about the offense. They have to be top 10. I'm guessing that they are.
I just don't think Diggs is going to get more targets. He might end up with more receptions. They might find more ways to get him open. But as far as more targets, no.
Fire breather with the comment of the year in the chats. Adam Thielen's cleats get my game ball. My mama said girls are the devil.
True.
He had the Bobby Boucher from the Waterboy cleats. They're doing like the 20th anniversary edition. Everybody's talking about that. I love it.
I like that they're letting them be creative and putting down a little bit of money for charity to be able to customize their cleats a little bit. Because for a while there, the NFL was really, really strict when it came to anything uniform related. Yeah, so I like that they're letting them have a little fun.
I've always advocated for this, just listening in and trying to learn as much as I can about sports. When we listen to the morning shows, they're usually more cheesy on ESPN, usually targeting the older audience. But Golick and Wingo has taught me a lot about the NBA. And Adam Silver is just fantastic about giving players a voice, letting them talk about social issues and things like that. And they need to become more like the NBA, in my opinion, about that. Now, they still have the most watched television show in any football game that you can pick and the biggest yearly event for the Super Bowl. But this is really cool, and I'm with you on that, Adam. I really like that they have a chance to just show some personality. Obviously, they're not going to let them put something offensive out there. But it's cool to see the stuff that they're into and the stuff they pay homage to. I like that a lot. These cleats are awesome, though. They were super awesome.
Yeah, we've seen some really cool ones, some ECW-themed ones. Adam Thielen wearing socks that have Stephon Diggs on them and stuff like that. It's just fun to see throughout the team, especially with the Vikings, where it seems like there's so much brotherly love going around. And I just enjoy seeing that, not only with the team, but especially for when it comes to helping out a charity. Now, let's talk about the Survival League a little bit. I don't think we have a much better hold on who's going to win this game with the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants yet. But the good news is that if the Falcons hold on and win this game, there will only be one strike handed out because Bury Me in Purple went bold and took the Miami Dolphins this week.
Ooh.
But if the Falcons do end up losing, there will not be any more undefeated teams in the league. And it will be a little bit more competitive, but we will also see one team be eliminated as Z-Man's legit pick set would be out. So personally, I'm going to be rooting for the Atlanta Falcons to get this big win here so that I can stay without that strike, but we'll see where it leads. And I hope that you guys will make your selections for week 8 so that you don't get that strike for not making a pick, because that is the absolute worst way to get a strike in this league.
Man, these comments in the chat are great. Talking about water sucks, H2O. These are good. 10-3 at the half. The Falcons are leading the Giants. Man, I'm so glad I'm not watching that game. It sounds terrible. I want to preview the game coming up, but first, before we do that, I'm going to give you the Mike Zimmer quote of the week. I get to steal this from Kyle West because he's not here, and I got the thumbs up from him because he's a nice guy. If you ball, you get the call, man. Deion Sanders called Mike Zimmer yesterday after the game, and the video's up on Vikings.com, and they're kind of jawing at each other and giving each other friendly crap, which I love to see because he used to coach Deion. And he says, man, you got to change. And it's like, well, what are you talking about, Mike Zimmer? He says, Zim, you got to change. I can't call you after you lose for like 2 weeks because you're always mad and grouchy. He's like, yeah, I get grouchy. He's like, you got to change that, man. He's like, you know what? How about this? I'll just be grouchy after a win too. I love our coach. He is notorious for some good quotes to go on social media and put up for the press. And that was a cool little thing to see because you could tell they had a lot of love for each other. And that kind of coach to good player thing where they kind of give each other crap and, talk back and forth. But it was fun, and I'm really happy that he got to call Mike Zimmer because that means we won. So
I enjoyed the press conference today where they asked Mike Zimmer, what's it like when you're devising a coaching strategy after facing two rookie quarterbacks, and now you're going up against Drew Brees? And Mike Zimmer, yeah, he can retire anytime. Oh, Drew Brees. I don't think he'll be retiring anytime soon, though.
Yeah, probably not. Speaking of, we got the Red Hot Saints coming in. They went to Baltimore this past week and won.
Baltimore's a darn good team.
They are. They're good this year.
I mean, sure, they still got Joe Flacco, but they're as good as a team led by Joe Flacco can be.
Whatever they're doing has been working for the most part. The only reason they lost instead of going into overtime to possibly win was their poor kicker did not make the extra point yesterday at the end of the game. They lost a heartbreaker, 24-23 to the Saints. The Saints have a good high-powered offense. Mark Ingram is back. You always have Alvin Kamara to worry about, and Michael Thomas is an absolute monster of a wide receiver. But the Saints defense coming into their own is it's going to be a tough task. I do not expect the same results, meaning a game-winning touchdown at the end of the game, to happen like last year. But remember, we are on a hot streak against the Saints. We beat them twice last year in Minnesota. They have to come to us again. I really like our advantage at home. However, I will give the Vikings a chance to win this game, but it's going to be by a field goal or less. This is going to be a tough, tough game, and we may very well see them in the playoffs again. As it sits right now, and I don't think either one of these teams will make it into the playoffs, with the playoff picture going into week 8 at the end of week 7. I'll give it to you just a second when my computer decides to stop being slow. But I know the Vikings with the win yesterday and the Packers having the week off. and the Bears losing, it kind of shaped some things. So as soon as this loads up, I'll let you know. I don't think what are their records? New York's awful. I think they've only won once. I don't know about Atlanta. Atlanta's got maybe 1 or 2 wins.
Yeah,
Two,
they're not shut out. But the Vikings' upcoming game against the Saints, wait a minute. No. This OddsShark, which is the site that we use for our articles on the Viking Age, has the Vikings down as 1-point favorites.
Okay.
That's a little surprising to me.
That is surprising. I thought it would be an even line for this game. I got the playoffs picture up right now. The Rams are obviously the only undefeated team in the NFL. They are the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Saints are second at 5-1. The 6th seed is the Packers. As of right now, they would go to Washington, which they lost to earlier in the year. And right now, the Carolina Panthers would come to Minnesota because they are the 5th, and we are now the 4th seed. I'm looking down on the chart here. The Falcons and the Giants are the 13th and 14th seed in the conference, only above the lowly Niners and Cardinals, so they are nowhere near in the mix. So right now, as it stands, we have Rams, we have Saints, we have Redskins, Vikings, Panthers, and Packers in that order. We are well in the playoff hunt. And I would like us to get up in the top 2, but as long as we get a home game to start, I think that'll build momentum. So got to keep these wins coming along, guys. Should be in a very exciting game. Drew Brees is on fire this year. He's in MVP talks. And, yeah, it's going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one. The rest of the year, I don't see any freebies or hand-me's on the schedules. They're going to have to earn every win. But I'm excited. And it's going to be in prime time. So let's hope our boys show up.
I will admit that I am not. I'm still not too worried about the Dolphins. I know that they've got some wins, but the Dolphins don't worry me as much as they probably should. But looking down the rest of the schedule, yeah, I mean, division matchups, you never know what to expect, and the Vikings have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 division matchups still yet to come this season, and to cluster them all together at the end of the season just means so much when it comes to deciding who's going to be, the NFC North champions. So we'll have to wait and see how all that goes. But for now, so much rests on those games, particularly Week 12. That's going to be massive if it comes down to a tiebreaker against the Packers.
Yeah, the Packers game. Luckily, it's going to be in Minnesota. I don't see us winning against the Patriots because they find a way to beat everybody. They found a way to beat the Chiefs, who looked unstoppable. And it's in Foxborough. I'd feel a little bit better if it was in Minnesota, but I don't know. Those are the only ones that really concern me. The Bears are vulnerable, and I'm not worried about the Lions. I'm not worried about the Dolphins either. But, man, I just feel like all of these teams on our schedule are going to annoy us. And
do you think the Vikings are finally going to beat the Lions at US Bank?
Yes, I do.
Because it hasn't happened yet.
Correct. The Lions have had our number at home, which is weird because we've went there and won, which is odd. I don't know. I think so. I feel good about it. The Lions don't really impress me. They're okay. They're not great.
Well, all right. That's all I have for this week. You got anything else?
I'm going to promote my band. You guys, I have a show this Friday I'm super excited about with Disposable Ink. I'm a Metallica tribute band frontman, and we're going to be playing this Friday at the Rock House on Montana Avenue. If I can stall for 5 seconds, I'll get you the information because there is a cover charge, and I will say that there is
$100, right?
Yeah, it's $150 per person. No, I'm just kidding.
And if you want nachos, they're $200 a plate.
Yeah, if we do have a backup drummer filling in. Shout out to my drummer. He's getting a nice job dealing with dog training, which I do for a living, so I'm happy for him. So we found a guy to fill in who's a good friend of the band. It's $5. Red Sand is going to open up for us at 9 p.m. We will head on at or around 10:30, 11 o'clock. So it's going to be a late one, but come out. It's the Halloween special because it's the last weekend before Halloween comes. And I would love to see all my El Paso friends there.
Do you know a lot about Red Sand? Are they just a band, a cover band, tribute band? What are they doing?
Oh, they're an original here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're really cool. They opened for us before again, so that was pretty nice.
Very cool. I want to take a minute to promote the Viking Age app. I know that a lot of you guys have your smartphones and tablets and cool devices. And guess what? Using those devices, you can download some apps like the Viking Age and Undead Walking, where you can keep up with all my work when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings and The Walking Dead. If you are a fan of The Walking Dead, you just got treated to an amazing episode with one of the best twists that I've seen in a long time, one that they've been building for years. So if you missed that episode, I strongly suggest you check it out along with the episodes that you've missed leading up to it, because, man, I love when I get thrown off and I don't see things coming, and this one did just that. Also, we've got the Viking Age, where we are bringing on some more writers. We are doing what we can to bring as much information to you as possible. If you don't have the Viking Age app, you can just go to thevikingage.com, or you can do the same with undeadwalking.com if you aren't very tech savvy with your devices and still do everything on your desktop at home. You can do it that way. So there you go. Let's see what else we got. You can buy some Kyle West art. That's good stuff. And I actually want to close this by talking about you with something interesting, because I have heard that, and this is non-football related whatsoever, that LeBron James is trying to buy the Friday the 13th franchise.
I'm so happy you want to talk about horror films, because I'm going to do this 1 second and tell you the new Halloween came out. I enjoyed it. I don't know if anyone's going to like it as much as me. I'm very easy to please with movies, but I went and saw it. Push all the H2O and resurrection and all that nonsense out of the way. It's a direct sequel from 40 years ago, and I thought it was pretty cool. Michael Myers is still a monster psychopath, so go see it. But Friday the 13th for me, growing up, and that was my favorite horror franchise, without a doubt, hands down. LeBron James has buku amounts of money. It all depends on taste and his choice and who he hires to take this on, but I think it's pretty. I think it's a pretty safe bet. People always love to go watch horror movies, and I never thought I'd hear his name associated with it.
No, that was a new one by me. And one thing I'm really glad is that the Viking season so far hasn't been a horror story. So far, we've gotten to watch a lot of really good games. Sure, there's been some ups and downs, but I think if you're a Vikings fan right now, you got to feel pretty good about the franchise going forward.
Nice. Yeah, Kyle West brought that up in our chat today, and we're like, what? That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank all you guys who tuned in, everyone who joined us in the chat. I'm sorry that I couldn't follow along today. My browser said no, so I don't know what I could do. But I hope Mr. Smith handled everything well in there for you and chatted. And we always appreciate you guys interacting on our socials, especially Facebook. You can chat with us on there. Hopefully next week we'll have Mr. West and Mr. Foley back so we can be a fearsome foursome once again. But in the meantime, thank you again, everyone, and stay classy, Minnesota.